Okay. All right. Hi, and welcome back to Sketchbook Club. Last week, I was on vacation, so for the first or maybe the second time, we completely missed an episode. But I'm back here with double the fun. I have my friend Prashant Miranda here, who is visiting from Toronto. And I'm going to show him the work of an artist who he knows a little bit, but doesn't know as
I've
well
been
as
really inspired for sure, right from design school. I think that's when I went into the library and saw a book of Ronald Searle, and I was like, whoa, who is this amazing guy? And then actually the Paris sketchbook popped out of the shelf.
Yes.
I was like, yesterday it just seemed like the book that we should.
Right. So we're going to talk about Ronald Searle, who I've talked about in various ways. I mentioned him, if you remember the war episode that I did about war reportage. He was in that. But I have lots and lots of his books. Let me just show you. You ever see in this camera? So this is a book that he did about Le Monde, drawings for Le Monde. He's drawn a lot of animals. This is a book about London. This is a book about book collecting. And let's see.
This is the book we're
going to talk about, yes. This is an old Penguin book. This is a really sweet little story. He did a whole series of these books about it was called St. Trinians. And this is another book about St. Trinians. This kind of this girls' school where all the girls are really bad and do evil things. He's done a couple of books about America. This is another book about London. But the books that we're going to talk about today are this book, the Paris Sketchbook. Let me get these down.
Super excited.
Yes. So this Paris Sketchbook, I have actually 2 copies of it because this is an uncorrected proof. So this is a proof that you would get back from the publisher just when you first did the book. And then we have this is the final book. So I think we'll focus on the actual final book, but I'm just showing off the fact that I do own this uncorrected proof of the Paris Sketchbook. So,
and let's see the back.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah,
I think this is probably what the dust jacket looked like. I don't have the dust jacket anymore, but
I haven't seen this Paris Sketchbook before, so
right. So let me tell you a bit about this book and about Ronald Searle in general. So Ronald Searle, he just died last year, and he started his career really a little bit before World War II. But then he was in the war. He was a Japanese prisoner of war for several years. He almost died from that. And then he came back to England and he became an illustrator. And he did a lot of things like he drew stuff for Punch.
Right.
Things like that. So he was a cartoonist, really. Yeah.
And he did do some drawings during the war,
yes,
too,
he did some amazing stuff during the war that I talked about during the war episode. But he did some drawings about the soldiers, but then also when he was captured, he did some drawings.
Yes,
But then he came back. Yeah, he came back and he was working. There was a big kind of explosion of magazines in the 50s in England,
right.
And he was very much an in-demand illustrator at that time. But he was married to a woman named Kay Webb at the time. And Kay Webb was a writer, and they did this book, Paris Sketchbook, where they went to Paris, and she wrote the book, and he illustrated it.
I see.
So it's about the trip that they took there. So
okay.
This book is a joint venture. Their marriage didn't last forever. They got divorced, but in the meantime, so there's lots of. These are black and white drawings. They're done with a dip pen, by and large. That's how we work with a steel dip pen.
Right.
Drawn on location, by and large. But so we'll see. So this is a typical Ronald Searle drawing. What do you think?
Oh my gosh! I mean, just the line work. I think for me, what pops out is the roughness of the line and
scratchy kind of quality.
Scratchy, just exquisite, loose, and also I think what drew me are his characters. They seem to be so whimsical, and I think because of his cartoon background,
sense of humor, right?
Yeah, it comes out. And for me, I did animation in design school, and I think it was that time when I was seeing documentation with the whimsy of the characters and faces and expressions of people, and I think there's something about that time of, I don't know, the 60s and the 70s,
right,
which had a particular style, which I've always been enthusiastic about.
No, it's true. But I think, but also he's a really good observer. I mean, he draws really well. He's drawing reality here, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, he's drawing these buildings, the Eiffel Tower. You know that's what it looked like,
and
right?
the fact that he doesn't pay attention to block out, I think there's a looseness to each of these, that there's an overlapping of these Parisian cafe chairs, and
you can tell that like he drew this person after he'd done the drawing behind. He didn't care.
Exactly.
He just went ahead and did it. So when you look at some of the other people who we've talked about, Paul Hogarth, for instance, he does a lot of that kind of thing as well, where it's just his impression.
David Gentleman
too, just his their reaction to what the scene that they're in.
Right.
You know, reportage. We've talked about Veronica Lawler does that as well. It's just you're in the moment. You notice this thing, then you notice something that's in front of it. You draw it anyway, even if the lines are crossing over.
Exactly, because it all adds depth and dimension to it.
Right, and freshness and a feeling that you're really there.
Absolutely, and an energy of capturing that space at that time.
Also, the amount of details. I mean, he puts in a lot of details, but then he'll also leave out details. He doesn't really care, but you can tell that he was really involved with drawing those rooftops, right? I mean, I'm sure if you and I were there, that's what we would be looking at too. It's just so nice.
And there's a simplicity to the whole thing where the lines just end on the page. I mean, I'm a huge fan of white around your space. The whole thing is not crammed, even though there's so much of detail. Yet, and knowing fully well these are not perfectly straight lines, they're just like jaggedy, but it still gives you a sense of perspective. It gives you a sense of exactly what the building's about,
and also like what to look at. Like, so for instance, when he draws your eye into here, he draws your eye into, I mean, he writes all the labels, the signage, but he's drawing your attention to what he found interesting.
Right.
So he may not have found this interesting, or he didn't want to distract. He didn't have to draw everything there. It's not an obligation.
For sure.
It's a response. So that's what makes it interesting. And
look
at this. Right, this is a crazy drawing.
The amount of detail.
Nuts.
And just very minimal washes, it feels, right? Like barely these little things, like just enough to give a little bit of volume.
It's almost like a vignette.
Yes.
But you get the feeling that it's probably like almost like he smudged it with a pencil while he was there with his thumb or something.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting about this drawing is to try and imagine, like, how did he draw it? And my theory is that he probably drew, like, he saw this policeman and this guy there, and he started to draw that, and then he saw this guy, and only then after that did he start to do all this, right? Because he left space back here. He certainly didn't, you don't see through them.
Yeah.
They're important.
And clearly he's sitting at a cafe and having a drink or, a coffee or something like that and watching what's going on. It's so stunning. Right. Yeah, foreground elements, background elements.
Yeah, because even this is the awning over his head.
Yeah.
But you're also you're sharing his experience of being there, right? It's not like this is what this place looks like. That wasn't the point. The point is I'm sitting there, I'm looking at people, then I look up and I notice the roof, and then I see some birds flying there, and then I look over here at these store windows. It's the way that you feel when you're sitting at a cafe just looking around you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's captured in there.
And also the fact that, in Paris, there's no dearth of exciting architecture and the amount of detail in the buildings and things like that, which would definitely enhance what he's looking at. It's amazing. Yeah.
And I think like your initial reaction when you see this, you go, "Oh my God, look at how much stuff there is in here."
Yeah.
But that's kind of like what it's like to, like, if you stepped out of the metro into the middle of Paris.
Yeah.
You would also, your mind is boggled by how much there is to see.
But clearly, he also observed people so beautifully. It just feels like that ash at the
cigarette. It's like a hand-rolled cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
He really, observed. The waiters standing there. He studied people and postures and, wow, very inspiring.
So here, this is a little drawing that's done probably with a brush, I would imagine. Much looser, faster. Right, this feels like a drawing that he did pretty quickly, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's still fine line work.
Fine, yeah.
But what do you think the scale of... It seems like it's condensed. This one, do you think
Yeah.
it was done larger?
Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah,
huge.
it's got to be larger.
I know that he would go with a drawing board.
Right.
So he was drawing on loose piece of paper. He's not drawing on a sketchbook. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because
so this is a
this
big
one,
drawing.
but whereas I think, I mean, something like this,
You think it could be that small? Maybe.
it could be slightly larger, but I don't like this for sure would be
Yeah.
larger. I think it's been condensed on the page.
And I think, I mean, this is an interesting thing about reproduction, right? It's like when it's smaller, when it's not real size,
Yeah.
it loses a certain power, right?
Right,
The lines become
right.
too spindly. I've had that experience even when you scan a drawing.
This
Sometimes.
is at the Musée Rodin.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Look at that.
I loved a little pram.
But this is so interesting. This tree with all the stuff growing on it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he just plunked himself down probably on a bench somewhere, and
Right.
Because it's a weird angle.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was, when I went to the Musée Rodin, actually, I was intrigued. I had seen some watercolors of Rodin. Have you seen that
Yeah,
book?
yeah.
Oh my God, they're stunning.
he's a sculptor. I think of him as a sculptor.
Yeah, his watercolors are absolutely gorgeous and very loose drawings.
Sure.
And I thought they would have some, but I mean, just the sculptures in the garden. The garden is spectacular in itself, but and the Thinker is, I think, in one section of it, and you just walk around.
I remember
the
being
garden.
there. I didn't realize that it was so big, though. It looks like a real castle.
Yeah, this is when you go in, and I was hoping to see some of his drawings and watercolors, but there weren't. Wow.
So this is the National Assembly. He's obviously doing a sort of, not a touristy thing exactly, but he's going and capturing all the big buildings.
Right.
What do you think all this is? Like that treatment there. Do you think
I
that's
think
pencil?
he smudged
Smudging
his...
with pencil, yeah?
Smudged his
smudges
ink.
Right.
Yeah, I think smudged his ink with his...
But sort of,
Yeah.
this drawing feels like a little chaotic, right? It's like this thing is so heavy, and then he drew these people almost like, it looks again like it could even be pencil.
You're right.
Very
That
light.
does look like a pencil.
So it looks, it's not, to me, it's not as great a drawing, but then there's this, where he's drawing a guy in a urinal, public urinal. Right? I don't think they have that in Paris anymore, but that thing, you see his feet there.
That's great.
So,
Oh, yeah. Just the looseness of the line, I think. So exciting, and his proportions are stunning. Juxtaposition of these characters.
a lot of his the description that she writes is also about literally being with him.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
she's like writing about the process of being with him while he did it, which is
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
This book really inspired me when I illustrated a book by a guy named Eric Maisel, and it was about Paris. And they said to me, "Would you like to go and do this thing?" I said, "Yes." So it was Thanksgiving. It was just before Thanksgiving. I had 4 days in Paris.
November?
And so my wife Patty came with me, and we went to Paris, and it was raining the entire time. But it was really fun because I was rushing around trying to draw as many places that he had talked about
Right.
in the thing, and I just kept thinking, like, here I am with my wife, and and Searle was there with Kay Webb, and they were doing it. So anyway, that was my romantic vision.
Right.
Look at this thing. That's completely different.
Very
And that
different.
does not look like a typical Ronald Searle person.
No.
Yeah. Depressed,
Yeah.
sort of dark kind of feeling.
With a very small umbrella.
Very small.
Yeah.
I think they're selling stuff in the street. They look like they're like drug addicts or
Right.
something.
Some sellers. Trunk sellers? Is that what it says?
Junk seller.
Junk sellers.
Yes.
Wow. So when was the sketchbook made?
This
In
one?
yeah.
I think it's like the early 60s.
Early 60s. Yeah.
Oof, look at that.
Gorgeous.
So much dimension to it.
So much, and just the nuance of the Eiffel Tower at the back, and wow. Yeah.
Because it's so interesting. Like you get the sense of the energy of this little fair, and then to draw this right in the middle. Like if it didn't have that,
Yeah.
it would be a lot less interesting. Right?
Yes.
There's something about it, even though it's
absolutely.
blocking.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
all these strings, it's blocking it. but
Right. Yeah.
something so dimensional about that, and you see these stairs with it's like broken bottles or something. It's all these things.
Yeah.
So,
Or they look like lanterns or something. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
So this is another bit of that smudging technique to kind of make
Yes.
the different signs pop out. Champs-Élysées.
Right. Wow. And giving that sense of light.
Right.
The lights of the lanterns or the lampposts and signage.
But I think it's interesting how many of these drawings are like at places where he obviously felt comfortable sitting down.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you think that was like his way of operating? He didn't like come with a folding chair and all that. He was just sort of like, let's stop here and have a drink and I'll do a drawing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty much when I'm traveling around. It's usually over a beer or a coffee or something.
You don't say I must draw the Eiffel Tower from the perfect vantage point.
No. It's usually places where I'm stopping to imbibe something. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Oh. Pencil.
Yeah, that's pencil, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but this could also be like a Toulouse-Lautrec kind of sketch,
It does have that
right?
feeling, right? Because it also, well, it is, these are like sort of showgirls.
It could
The
be at
Lido,
the,
the Lido, it says, yeah. Yeah, but it says here, it was really worth the bottle of champagne we had to order. So,
Right.
the Moulin Rouge, and
Right.
Folies Bergère, and that kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So these are loose, quick drawings. So Prash, you just did this couple of assignments where you had to draw a wedding. Talk a bit about that. So you had to draw. How many drawings did you do, and how much time?
I did 100-page sketchbook, and the one I did in June was 2.5 days.
Wow.
So I filled up a sketchbook. I did one more in February over 3 days, and it is stressful. So I kind of planned it out that I would do 15 spreads over the course of 3 days. But knowing fully well that these are whimsical sketches, and as long as I capture the essence of it. But it does get stressful when people line up saying, "Oh, can you do my portrait?" And I'm like, "Are you related to the groom? Are you related to the bride?" Like, I mean, because I don't want to do random sketches of people who are not meaningful in the book.
Right. But also you're coming into a situation where you don't know what to expect.
Yes.
It's not like a carefully orchestrated, controlled situation.
No.
Similar to what he was doing here.
Yeah.
You come in,
Yes.
there's a show going on, you've got to capture whatever's there.
Right, and
Because you did
got
drawings
to
of people
movement.
dancing and things like that. Yeah.
And there are so many events. So there's dancing, there's food, there's ceremonies, rituals.
Getting
so-
ready, also, so forth. So, yeah. Look, there's a beauty to it. He's just so good at this depth to
Yes.
the drawings, right? And leading your eye into it. This is obviously the top of a wall. Like he must have been sitting on top of a wall under these trees.
Oh,
And
his
then he's-
perspective is stunning.
Right, and it's just,
Yeah.
but also the way that it leads you in.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But this darkness here.
Yeah.
But then also having that there, whatever it is, it's like an old.
It's
an
it's
old
like a
woman, is it?
shrouded, character.
Shrouded figure, yeah. And then also this here, so it's like, it stops it from being just too
So
too
these are
geometric.
all dip pens, no?
Must be, yeah.
Yeah, because of that scratchy.
I mean, it could be a fountain
line.
pen, but I don't
Yeah,
think so. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it feels too thin like that, right?
So beautiful.
Yeah. And then also again, as you say, the smudging.
Yes.
Happening here.
Definitely smudging. And the fact that he doesn't pay attention to those perfect lines.
No, because like this building is actually
it's coming
slanting in like that.
Right.
But
This
how
is
beautiful
the
this
Seine or some
Right, yeah, it probably says
or
it.
maybe,
What does
yeah.
it say down there?
Quai d'Anjou or something. Wow.
Yeah, so there's another one of this. This is a butcher that specializes in horses.
Oh.
Boucherie Chevaline.
Oh my.
So there's poor horse heads up
Right.
there. But I love this, like the way he does his lettering is so distinctive. So
It
even
is.
though he's doing a sign, he doesn't really bother to copy the sign. He just
Right.
writes down what it says.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And this little man peeking out from there.
Yeah, with the belly
Butcher.
sticking out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is obviously she was moving a lot, and he drew that a bit after he drew this.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. And clearly these were printed. I wonder if they were like, if they could have been sepia or.
yeah, possibly.
They could be black.
I would think
ink
black
too.
would be easier
Yeah,
to reproduce.
yeah,
Look at
yeah,
that
yeah.
though. So this is this incredible tree, and then he seems to have drawn on it almost like with a wax crayon or something on top to get that thing. Just the energy of that, just amazing.
Yeah, and then put a wash on top of it.
Right. So he must maybe he did have an ink brush with it.
Yes.
He was doing some
it
stuff.
seems like it because there's clearly a wax kind of resist thing, and he's just put the wash right on top. By the Seine. Oh, Pont Neuf.
Fantastic, huh?
My first trip to Paris was alone in November. It was late autumn, and I filled up a sketchbook there, and I loved it. All I did was walk the streets and stop, because at night I did so many watercolors at night because the lighting was perfect. I could sit at any bench and there would always be a light, and the buildings were so beautifully lit at night.
So many of the buildings have the light
on. I
on.
did a whole Paris at night kind of for a whole book, right? And I felt like I could easily do a whole book of Paris at night with watercolors too, because the sketchbook was easily illuminated, and what you saw.
And it's black and white. I mean, it's a black and white city. I don't know what your watercolors were like, but it feels like a black and white city. And that precise stuff, sort of thieves and prostitutes in the streets. But there's so much to draw in Paris. It's crazy.
But nice. It's just the washes to give these kind of shadows under the bridge.
But in each case, what he's doing is he draws the landscape, and then he puts people in, and the people draw your eye in, and they have some kind of a story, right? These old fishermen with their berets on, like that. Like without that, it would be a different thing.
Boring.
Yeah. So he does that every time. He's always adding in, here's a table, and then these booksellers along the Seine. That's so Paris. I always go and look. I always love those things.
Browsing.
But then all the books are in French, so it's a limit to how many you can buy. I mean, my French is not that great.
Right.
I remember drawing this exact thing because I remember this drawing of his.
Right.
And I drew that sort of subway entrance.
Yes, and I think I did one too. Pretty much on my first
so beautiful
day or night there.
And look at this one. Again with the shadows and that kind of little light around their faces.
Yeah.
So you can see who they are.
The trees are so stunning too.
So many different ways that he draws trees.
And the little pigeons.
Yeah.
I think those kind of little details enhance the drawings.
And they add personality too.
Yes,
because
for
there's
sure.
a bit of humor. All these random people. Père Lachaise.
Right? Yes, I went to see Chopin. I woke up one morning and it was grey fall day, and I was like, I want to go and visit Chopin today. And I think I did a watercolor at
I remember Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison, of course.
Yeah,
although
of course.
His grave is like basically like a dirt hole. But Oscar Wilde has that beautiful
grave. Very Art Deco kind of.
It is, right.
Yeah.
See, again, I just love that lettering.
Yes.
I should go back and read this book and see how long he spent doing all this.
Right, yeah.
This is another one of these incredible detailed things. I love all this kind of like...
So clearly he was at another cafe or drinking a glass of wine or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And getting that point of view.
But you get the sense that like the market is kind of broken up now. Like it was a morning market, now they're taking it all
dismantling
away.
it.
But then all the lettering of all these different things, that's so cool.
That little pig, I mean, he's just captured. And
they're funny.
Yeah, they're whimsical.
And these flocks of birds everywhere around.
Yeah.
See, there's less depth to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem as successful to me.
Ooh. But this has quite a bit of depth.
It's drawing like all these other tourists sitting there. Handsome waiter with a brilliantine hair. I guess that's like the opera or something behind. And this, all the newspapers.
The opera.
Isn't it? Maybe.
It could be. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, gosh. So inspiring.
It is to see.
Yeah.
It just makes. I mean, the way that he would capture these details.
Yeah.
He doesn't get too involved with them,
No.
but he doesn't also get lazy. He does draw all the windows. He draws all the stuff.
He's
but
observing the details.
And he'll get into doing, like, he'll do one section of the railing that's perfect,
That's
and then the rest is just sort of more indicated.
Squiggles. Yeah.
Spent a lot of time in these cafes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is what you do in Paris. But,
That's all
But you
we do.
definitely.
Yeah.
He betrays it every time with you can see the top of the awning.
That's true.
So.
Here's some serious movement at the club.
Yeah, and there's also like a lot of painting in that one.
Yeah.
Watercolor wash to.
I mean, it's
ink
definitely
wash.
capturing the guitarist and the trumpet player and dancers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is kind of much more chaos if you compare that with like
Yeah.
one of these kinds of drawings,
Yeah,
much
yeah,
calmer. But here,
yeah.
there's just like the swirl of the crowd moving.
For
But then he'll
sure.
stop and like draw these faces. He'll capture like individual faces. And how interesting is like this, all these bottles hanging from the rafters.
It's
It's just
true.
cool.
He's a singer.
Right. Cartoon. Like she's very realistic. He's a cartoon.
Cartoon. Yeah.
Juliet Greco. She's famous for that hairstyle. There's another one.
Ooh, another one.
This might be one of the best
Taxis.
ones. Citroën, right? Deux chevaux.
Tabac.
And again, the rooftop. So
All right. Yeah.
look at that. The guy with the one leg.
Yeah. Selling flowers? Or?
Yeah, great character.
Wow.
Les Halles.
You can see how he's inspired so many
People.
artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think people like who might know someone like Ralph Steadman, or we were talking about Gerald Scarfe, but there's just so many people who.
Yeah.
That combination of realism and cartoony.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
reportage, being a reporter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's
Right.
really something that he was a pioneer into.
Yes.
That's actually quite a bad drawing, isn't it?
Why do you say?
I don't know. He struggled.
Because-
Maybe it's because their nose is so big. That's
Yeah,
a Ronald
nose is,
Searle.
yeah, it's big nose. Big nose. I think maybe he likes big noses.
Yeah, they give
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
So she's taking over now. She's doing more writing than he's doing drawing. But
Right.
here again, like this, going back here, then looking up at that. There's so many different perspectives, right?
Right.
And yet this is a fairly quick drawing, I would think.
I would think, yeah.
But so much.
Detail. So much going on. Sellers. Oh, this is mostly the marketplace.
But also you see how he like refines his lines a lot. Like he'll go back over them to sharpen them, but also to make these people pop
And
out.
also I feel like he's gotten up to leave. Like I don't think he's finished all the detail over here. Like I think at times he would, when he had to leave, he would just... May 27th, 1950?
50.
50.
So this is also after the war. So you have to think about this is Paris.
Yes.
4 or 5 years after the war ended, after the occupation.
Right.
It's probably a pretty different place. Yeah, this is inside the. That must have been fun to draw. To
Right.
just draw all the stalls and all the junk in them.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that's a beautiful little one too. The guitar and
Right. See, he's
two
playing the guitar on his
musicians.
lap.
Yeah. Ooh, great portrait. So
Yeah.
nice.
And she's interviewing them, so.
I see.
So these are actual people in a lot of cases. Yeah.
Right.
Look at that. That's a drawing you probably spent quite a bit of time on getting it right. Like that's
Yeah.
not a scratchy, scribbly.
No.
That's a more formal thing.
Probably sitting on a sidewalk.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he adds this little girl and the cat, just to give it a bit of humanity. There's always something in there to tell a story.
Yeah. Wow. Those cobblestones are
Right. You get the feeling they're all
undulating.
Undulating, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you just know, you get a essence of the place just from the kind of the fences or the grill work or...
Right.
nuances of architecture, the people.
Definitely makes you want to draw.
Oh yeah. Makes me. I'm like, should
Paris,
I?
in Paris.
Yeah.
In 1950.
I'm like, gosh, it's inspiring though it is. This is through a window?
From the Hotel Beaujolais.
From the hotel.
But is this the bottom of the bed?
Or a sofa with
Possibly.
a newspaper.
Or it could be that he's sitting with his breakfast in
Yeah.
bed,
Tea
looking
or-
out the window of his
yeah.
hotel room.
Yes.
Might be.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Le Canard Enchaîné. The enchanted canary. Is it duck?
Canard is duck.
Right.
Wow.
Well, is
Paris. Oh, maybe move this to the center. Yeah. That's a hotel he was staying in.
Hotel Beaujolais, yeah. All right,
But that's beautiful.
I'm
no?
going to stay in the Hotel Beaujolais next time I go there.
Oh, you got to.
I've got to, right?
Yeah.
See if you get that room.
Oh my.
There you go. That's a classic.
So much of depth.
Just that darkness that pulls you in there.
Yeah.
These lines too.
And always the vantage point from a cafe.
Yeah.
or something.
That's it. That's the book.
Beautiful.
Paris Sketchbook. Phew. So you can sort of find copies of this. I know you can find it online. You can find copies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, even though this book is 70 years old almost, right? Published 1958.
58, right.
So this probably represents a number of years, perhaps. Maybe it wasn't one trip. You know, 1958, first American edition. That might be what it is.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah.
But anyway, it's
Probably printed a little earlier, so it could have been, early 50s.
But it's a classic book, and there are copies of it available on the internet. You can find it. It's, as you can see, my copy is the spine is coming apart. It's a well-loved, well-thumbed book.
Yeah.
So-
Beautiful.
So, Prash, thanks very much for going to Paris with me this week. with
thank you,
with our
Danny.
friend.
Anytime.
Yes, that was really fun.
Yeah.
And we're now inspired. We're going to go off and do some drawing, right? It's
Yes.
enough. It's enough sitting inside. So it's not great weather today, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, we can do it.
Yeah. Sounds
All right.
lovely.
Bye-bye. Thanks very much. Thanks again for spending time with me and Prash.
Yeah.
And
thank
have
you.
a good day.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Bye.